release of version 3.4, we're getting 4 buff characters added to the game, that being Silverwolf, Blade, Jingliu, and also Kafka as well. I don't know why I couldn't think of her name, but regardless of that, guys, what I want to do, since we know it's an actual guaranteed thing in the game now, I want to go over 10 characters today that I think need buffs and what buffs they could potentially give these characters to make them great again, because these characters have been falling off, some even from patch 1.0, and they really do need a buffs, especially some 4 stars in the game. So let's go ahead and hop into our list here. Starting out at number 10 on this list for me, guys, is going to be actually Bronya. Now, the reason why I think Bronya is number 10 on this list is because I really don't think that she needs much done. Probably when already glazes the hell out of this character, putting her up in like tier 1.5 and tier 1 a lot of the times, and they just for some reason think she's good. And don't get me wrong, I think that the buff she provides in the advanced action forward is really good. I just feel like the SP and friendliness really brings her overall value down, and genuinely what I think they should do to make her better, guys. First things first, guys, Eidolon 1 needs to be moved into the kit itself. Like this should not even be an Eidolon. They should actually be moving E1 into the kit and making E1 you have a 100% chance to actually recover 1 SP after a 1-turn cooldown. So basically every other turn you're getting 1 SP back, and what I think this can do is actually make her compete with units like Sunday, right, which gives a free SP back every single turn, and also makes her kind of like not as good in my opinion as probably Sparkle would, because I think Sparkle's buffs are a little bit better and she has a super high SP efficiency. This would kind of make Bronya like a -1 SP, right? So I really think that is one thing that they definitely need to add to Bronya to make her really good. And on top of that as well, I think that they need to probably just introduce her E6 into her kit as well, because right now you only get this buff for 1 turn, so as soon as your turn is ended for your character, the buff goes away. So I think if you can extend that up to 2 turns, you would get a lot more use out of it, or maybe even work kind of like how Sparkle's skill works, where it lasts the start of your character's next turn, so you can prolong that buff over, so it'll help out any follow-up attackers and stuff like that as well. I just think that is a super huge thing that they could add to her kit to really make her that much better. I really don't think she needs that much, but I do think that is something they could definitely add to her kit to make her that much better. Hopping into number 9 now, guys, and that is actually going to be Dr. Ratio. Yes, I think Dr. Ratio deserves the buff much more than the likes of Dragon Danny, and the reason I say that is because he's very single target oriented. If you take a look at any of these tier lists here, as you well know by now, the Pride one is the definitive tier list you should be going off of, surely, right? But overall, guys, if we take a look at the overall value of what, say, someone like Dragon Danny is able to do, right, he's always sitting well above what Dr. Ratio is able to do, or on par with Dr. Ratio. That's why I don't think he really needs an upgrade in that sense. I think Dr. Ratio needs to upgrade because he runs into a couple of different issues, guys. Number 1 issue, guys, obviously being single target. Not saying single target's the worst thing in the world, but I do think if they would have maybe make his like follow-up attacks do blast attack damage, sure, keep the skill as a single target, right, but make the follow-up attacks do blast type damage. I think that could be a really big buff to someone like Dr. Ratio. Also, what I think could be a really big buff to Dr. Ratio as well is needing all these different types of debuffs up on the enemy at all times. I think that kind of sucks as well. Like, you need to guarantee have the enemy at 5 debuffs at all times. I think you should just reduce this down to 3 and give them the 50% marker. I think 3 is a lot easier to get than 5 is, in my personal opinion. Not saying it's impossible to get, but it really restricts him from the teams he's actually able to be ran on. On top of this as well, guys, I really think the crit rate and crit damage he gives to himself when you're attacking enemies with debuffs on them should be upped as well, because genuinely missing a crit with him really feels like you're hitting them with a pool noodle, okay? Like, it is really bad, okay? So I think those are 2 things you need to change there. And before we go any further with this, I really do want to say that I think all the DPS we're going to mention in today's video should just inherently have multiplier increases, whether that be a big increase or a small increase. They should all have some type of damage multiplicative increase, because of the fact that we have this scaling HP that keeps going up and up and up. They're doing overall less damage, so these characters definitely do need their multipliers increased. Now, hopping into my number 8 must buff option here, guys, Luca Bobuka. Now, the reason I say Luca is because, first of all, we are getting a character added to the game very soon that is going to be the physical typing, right, which is probably going to be Miss Heil Listens here, whatever her name is. She'll probably have some type of deal with like Bleed Dot or DOT teams in general, right? So I think Luca getting a buff could be definitely something we might actually see, because we haven't seen a buff in a 4-star yet, and I really do think the 4-stars need buffs, honestly, guys. Because as you might not be aware, we have not got a 4-star character in like I think a year at this point. So we really do need buffs to 4-star characters to make them viable, or new 4-star characters added to the game, which, let's be honest, that shit's not gonna happen. Maybe we'll get one soon. Who the fuck knows? knows. Anyways, guys, hopping back into why I think Luca Babuka should be buffed here, right? So first of all, guys, my biggest problem with Luca is literally his E6. I think his E6 just should be in his kit, right? Because this allows him to reproc the bleed status on the enemy by up to 8% of its original damage. I think you could maybe increase that multiplier a little bit. I don't think you necessarily even have to increase the multiplier, from being completely honest with you. So move this directly into his kit, right? Honestly, I think for a lot of the 4-star characters, just make their E6s into their kit. I think that's the best thing to do there. Anyways, on top of this as well, guys, I think you need to increase the amount of stacks he's able to get from either using a skill move or an ultimate move. As you can see from his ultimate move here, he gets 2 stacks of fighting will every single time you do it, and then whenever you use a skill move, you get 1 stack. I think what should happen here is I think skill move should probably give 2 stacks, while the ultimate move probably gives 4 stacks, and then at the beginning of battle, he starts off with 2 stacks. I think he might already do that. I might be coping right now, because then this would also allow him to better get to this enhanced basic attack to be reprocking the bleed dot, which would make him that much better. But not only this, guys, I do think he needs one more thing to really kind of make him juicy in a sense. I like the way he does give a 20% damage vulnerability debuff to the enemy. I'm not saying to make this AoE. I think keeping the single target's absolutely fine, but I think this should be able to also reproc bleed on the ult as well. And I also think the bleed given from his skill move should also be better ratios in terms of how much bleed he's able to give to the enemies. So I think these are definitely things that need to be changed. I think you could actually make him play really well with the new DOT character probably we're getting added to the game very, very soon. Alright, guys, now hopping into number 7 on our list, that should be our girl, QQ. I love QQ so much, and I think she could be an absolute fiend if they did some, like, really good buffs to her, or really just tweak her kit, honestly. Like, they don't have to do too much to her, honestly. The biggest thing with QQ, SP unfriendly. She goes through SP and you don't even know if you're going to get a max attack. So what I think you should do is, yes, while sure she is the Gamba queen, right? I think what you should realistically do is remove all the Gamba from her kit altogether, right? So maybe have Gamba up to the point where she can max her tiles out. So maybe you can use 3 tiles, kind of like how Dragon Danny will use 3 skill points and you get his max damage bonus. Maybe do something similar to her as well, where she uses 3, she gets her full AoE attack, and then also is going to be activating Arataki as well, so you get the additional follow-up there too. Only at 3 skill points though. If you do anything less, then you maybe don't get it, or maybe you do get the AoE attack in general, right? Because she is a Euro Edition type character, she should be hitting AoE regardless. Maybe only give Arataki at 3 skill points consumed, or then even honestly, maybe this, guys, maybe just keep it 4 skill points at the max. You're guaranteed to get her max draw at 4, and then you're also going to be guaranteed to get her max damage bonus. You're going to be guaranteed to get Arataki there as well, and then anything before that, you're literally just giving her a damage bonus for every single skill point she uses there. I think this can make her really, really good. That's genuinely, in my opinion, the only thing that she needs. Maybe give her some crit rate, crit damage here in the skill point somewhere. I think that could be fine. But I think if you were to give this to her, this would be such a good option for free-to-play players to build, because now you have a Euro Edition AoE fucking centric quantum character that's going to be slaying all the content in the game. Now hopping into our number 6 option now, guys, and that is going to be the Queen Seela. Yes, now I do think that Seela needs a buff. I think Seela has fallen to the trenches so bad. It is like, honestly, I hate it if you played a 1.0 and put so much investment in Seela, right? She is kind of just dumpstered at this point, and I know the Seela mains are going to come here and say, oh, no, she's not dumpstered. She is still good. She is still rocking it with her cock out, right? No, you have to build her correctly and play her. Fuck that. She needs a lot of changes to her kit, and honestly, what I would say, give her a fucking huge buff. Like, I'm not saying break the game, make her all the way up here on the tier list, right? Tier 0. No, I'm not saying that. So the biggest thing that I would give to Seela, guys, is I honestly think she needs more resurgence. So scrap what this thing does right now, right? Increase this damage right here, like increase this 80% damage multiplier up a bit more. I think she really does need that. On top of this, whenever she uses a skill, automatic resurgence. Whenever she uses an ultimate, automatic resurgence. If she uses anything and gets a kill, automatic resurgence. So say she uses a skill and gets a kill, she gets 2 extra turns. Say she uses ult and get a kill, 2 extra turns there. I think that she definitely needs something like that in her kit, because the main premise of her kit is literally activating resurgence, and if you can't kill the enemies fast, then you're not activating resurgence, so it just makes her kit really, honestly, fucking useless. So that's what I'd be advocating for Seela. Let me know your thoughts in the comment section down below, what you want to see for Seela. Now hopping into number 5 on this list, guys, which is gonna be maybe a little bit of a hot topic here, a little bit debatable, right? I think what you need to do is I think you need to buff Misha. I think Misha is one of the worst, maybe the worst 4-star we've ever gotten released in the game. Bro has so much potential as well. I have tried to use this guy so much in so many different team comps, and he just does not work well at all in those team comps. I think he can work really good as a pseudo breaker and break S teams, just because of the fact that he has multiple hits per action. He's able to do defense shred, which is automatically going to be affecting the amount of like super break damage you're doing or break damage you're doing on the enemy. Crit damage, kind of cringe. You don't really need that all too much, so I mean this would be kind of useless at that point. But what you also could do with this as well is maybe in his ultimate, maybe you hit every single enemy on the field. On top of this, what you can do, you add in a debuff that makes enemies take more super break damage. So introduce, maybe instead of the crit damage here, introduce maybe a percentage of super break damage he's able to do, and then make the enemies take more super break damage. Because if we look at some of the other break characters we have in the game right now, aka maybe like Firefly, aka like Rapper, right? Both of these characters have super break in their kits already. So yes, maybe you don't have Harmony MC on the team, but having someone like Misha on the team with a buff like this could enhance this damage they're doing, so then you could really go without needing that Harmony MC or Fugue on the team there. I think this would be really good for Misha, and I really do think Misha needs a buff, but that's all that I can really think of for Misha. But I definitely do think he is a character that needs a buff. That's why he's number 5 on my list here. Hopping into number 4 now, which is going to be kind of a mix-up here, guys, kind of a throw-up. I think Bailu or Gepard. I think either one of these characters definitely do deserve a buff, and I really do think this could help both Caster's teams and some Acheron teams for those people coming early into the game, right? Maybe not as much for late game players, because I mean realistically these buffs are going to be helping some of these early game players, or people that really like these characters, really want to play with these characters again. So talking about what they could do, obviously I think you need more healing and less RNG healing with Bailu, right? I think that's the number one thing you need with Bailu. With Gepard, I think you need more frequent shields. I think his shields need to come from skill and his shields need to come from ultimate. I think both of those need to provide that, right? But on top of that, I think this is where they kind of diverge. I think Reinvigorate needs to be introduced into the skill as well, so you're getting healing every single turn, kind of like how Hyacinth works, or I guess maybe even like Hwang Hwang works in a way, right? Where you do that. And then with Gepard, I think whenever you put his shield up, I think the enemies need to have a chance, like if you build some effect hit rate into Gepard, and then the enemies can freeze off of hitting his shield, or there is a chance for them to freeze off of hitting their shield. So then you could really run this on teams like Acheron, right? Without having to run that stupid doopy ass light cone, Trends of Universal Market, and then you'd be able to apply debuffs like that off rip. And then with her, obviously some overheal with Reinvigorate and stuff like that would help out Caster's teams overall, or really just teams that want like ample healing. So I think both of these could definitely see buffs to make them that much better. That's all I really have to say for these characters, though. I think like you could make some uniqueness with each of these characters. That's why I put them on the same tier here, because I do think they fit their own niches there. Now hopping into number 3 on our list, guys, and this might be a little bit of a curveball too, guys, Yukong. I think Yukong needs a buff. My problem with Yukong right now in the game is literally her skill just does not last long at all. Like, it is so hard to time anything. She is so SP inefficient. I think there's so much they could do to actually fix this. Like, right here, Roaring Bowstrings. You basically lose 1 stack of Roaring Bowstring every single time one of your allies uses a turn. Either makes this 1 full turn until Yukong comes back in rotation, or make this 2 turns. I don't know. I think 1 turn will be more balanced. And then on top of this, make E6 into the kit. Give her 1 additional stack of Roaring Bowstring whenever she uses the ultimate move just off rip. On top of this all, what I would like to see with Yukong too, I would like to see maybe an action advance for the whole team too. I think it would be kind of counterintuitive in a way, because obviously you don't want her moving as much, but maybe make the rest of the team move more, like give it a 20, like a dance effect, right? So it still makes the incentive of using her ultimate like that much more important, because let's be honest, if you have Yukong, you know how important that ultimate is to really extend out these Roaring Bowstring stacks, right? But give it more importance with an extra advanced action for the rest of the team, so then they're able to go more often, so then they're able to take use more of the buff while you're waiting for her turn to come back around. You just run her slow, and then you do that. I think that is a 100% great option to do with this, guys. Now, guys, on to number 2 on this list, guys. You know, number 2 on this list, my boy Yanqing. Yanqing has been in the dirt for so long, the forgotten ones. He's so bad, he's the bottom character on the tier list. My boy needs a buff so bad, it is ridiculous. First of all, obviously, increase all of his multipliers. I think that is one thing you absolutely have to do. But on top of this as well, I think Soul Sync, get this shit out of here. Bro, make Soul Sync active at all times. I think that is 100% something that you have to do there. He has to be able to maintain his crit rate and crit damage buff at all times. I think that's a non-negotiable. Obviously, increase the amount of crit damage he's able to do from this as well. And then give him some more damage bonus as well, because he's really lacking in the damage bonus department. So I really do think he needs that. On top of this as well, guys, make his follow-up guaranteed. Guarantee a follow-up every single time he does an attack, and then on top of this, allow him to freeze with a follow-up attack. So whether you need some effect hit rate into his kit built for that to happen, or you just need no effect hit rate. I think you need one of those 2 things into the kit. Definitely have guaranteed follow-ups every single attack, and then with those follow-ups he's doing there, guys, maybe make those AoE, because they're not doing as much damage anyway, right? So might as well just let him hit every single enemy on the field, or do a blast type like AoE attack, and then have the potential of freezing enemies with that as well. Like, that would be massive for him, right? And I think doing these small things could really help him out a lot and really push him up here, because he would first of all have some type of blast attack mechanic, right, but really still mainly single target. But on top of this, he's able to freeze the enemy, so he's able to provide CC, so acting like a debuffer slash tutor to stay on the team as well. Now, before we get to number 1, guys, make sure you hit the subscribe button now. If you look at the timestamp, you probably already know who's our number 1 is. Our boy Arlan, the Giga Chat of the game, bro. My boy has been shit on since the beta. After they nerfed his ass in the beta, bro, get his ass up here, bro. Get his ass buffed up. Look how shit this man is. Look, you have tier 5 across the board. Tier 5 across the board. Okay, well, I guess he's also... Anyways, yeah, he's tier 5 across the board. Give my man a fucking buff, guys, okay? I do feel like you should be able to play the same style of gameplay that My Day plays, Blade plays, and then also like, literally... Just make him like them. Make him more like them, and he would be so good in my opinion. Like, consuming HP, I'm fine with that. That's cool. I don't like this. Increase Arlan's damage by a max to 72% more damage. Increase this shit. Send that shit to the moon for all I care, okay? Do that. And then, honestly, with this as well, increase this damage, like, literally increase all of his damage multipliers. Give him like max HP scalings versus this bullshit he's doing right now. Genuinely though, guys, that's all that I have to say for today's video. If you have characters that I didn't talk about in today's video that you think need a buff, let me know in the comment section down below. I would love to hear those. But yeah, that's gonna do it for today's video, guys. Hopefully you enjoyed. Subscribe if you haven't already, and I will see you in the next one, guys. Later, bye.